much love, something of those lines. Don't use much love with a business partner or with a business you're sending it to. YouTube, if you have a complaint to YouTube, they don't want to know that you love them. They're fine with sincerely. Sincerely is probably the one that's used 99% of the time. Use sincerely. When in doubt, use sincerely. If you're sending a letter to Mr. Lonsberry, if you're sending a letter to your teacher, use sincerely. No one is ever offended by sincerely. Last two things. Signature. Right after you say sincerely, should be your signature. Now, you're printing these out, and so on your computer, you can't necessarily write on your computer. So what you're going to do is you're going to leave a space. You're going to leave a space. You're going to leave 3 to 4 lines for your signature. So between the closing and the printed name, because under this comes the printed name. Whoop. Under that comes your printed name. So since you're printing this out, between the sincerely and your printed name, leave about 3 to 4 spaces, enough room so you can sign it. Because you're going to print it out and you're going to sign it by hand. That's what you're going to do in pen. Don't sign in pencil. Make sure you are sending letters, you want to abbreviate things like province names and even USA if you're sending it to America. So you should know some of them. Most of these you know. If you don't know BC and Alberta abbreviations, grade 9 is probably not where you should be right now. But none of it, a lot of people don't know none of it. A lot of people don't know Northwest Territories. A lot of people put NW for Northwest Territories, and it's actually NT. So please, use the appropriate abbreviation. All of this can be found online. Again, no one's asking you to memorize this format. You will never have to memorize this format except for the PAT, and really, memorize it 5 minutes before the PAT. We will go over it 5 minutes before the PAT, and you'll be fine. Do not memorize this stuff. Nobody memorizes it except for school teachers. Okay, so we've just gone through the 7 steps. Now, at the bottom of the document that we've just gone through, there are 3 types of formats that you can use. I 150% recommend you just memorize the block format, which is the one we're looking at right now. This is the block format. Everything is left-hand justified. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Everything's on the left. You can't forget that. You can't forget that. Some of the others are a little more creative maybe, but not necessary. Let me show you. This is modified block format. Also, this should be open to the right of this screen. This is the modified block format. What you'll notice is that your name, your closing, your signature, and your address have all been moved to the right. It's created this way so that the recipient knows that anything on the right-hand side belongs to you and anything on the left kind of belongs to them. The right-hand side is your information, the left-hand side is for them. That's why it was created. Very few people still use this, but it exists and it's fine. It's a decent format. Semi-block. Semi-block, the only difference is that your paragraphs are indented. Some people still indent their paragraphs. Very few people still do. Most people leave a space between paragraphs. Please use one or the other. Never use both. So what I mean is between your paragraphs, don't both indent your paragraph and leave a space between them. Do not do this. All right, let's look at an example. As I go through this example, what I want you to do is I want you to open up the document that we had open just a few minutes ago. The one that had the 1 to 7. The 1 to 7 pieces of formatting. So it had heading was number 1, number 2 was inside address, number 3 was salutation, and number 4 was body. I want you to go to number 4. So again, this window, open to the left. On the right, you have the document open that talks about the body paragraph. So the body, that's what I want you to open right now. Okay, do that. Have that beside you. Pause if necessary. So you have the body, you should have number 4 open here. What we're going to do is we're going to add some more notes to that. Add some more notes to number 4. What you're going to add is what each of the 3 paragraphs has. Okay? So we're going to go through this example, and I want you to pay attention as we go through, but I also want you specifically to focus on number 4. We're going to put some more notes in there. So, but let's start at the beginning. Let's start at number 1. Let's start at number 1. Number 1, by the way, the example we're using is actually the cover letter that I wrote when I applied for a position at this school. So cover letters are still used, are still necessary. This is the cover letter that got me this job. So I sent this in with my resume. And when you apply for a job, it will be expected that you too cover letter with a resume. So what should be the first thing that you see up there? The first thing, if this is a properly formatted cover letter, the first thing you should see on that page at the very top left corner is, you should know this, my address, the sender's address. If I sent this letter to this school, to Daryl Lonsberry at this school, if that's where I sent this letter, then in the top left we should see my address, which is exactly what we see. The very first thing we see is my address. It's not actually my address, so don't stop me. I've changed the address. But under that, about 4 lines under that, what should we see? You should know this. 4 lines under that, Daryl Lonsberry, right? Daryl Lonsberry, principal. Principal of the school, Daryl Lonsberry. All right. What happens after that? After that, we have the address, etc. Have a couple spaces. Then we have the salutation. Dear Mr. Lonsberry. Right? Dear Mr. Lonsberry. Full colon. Dear Mr. Lonsberry, full colon. Let me zoom in a bit. Sorry. Address. Inside address, dear Mr. Lonsberry. Now, this is our first sentence. This is our first sentence, or first paragraph, sorry. In the very first paragraph, I want you to write this down. So you should have, open on the right, you should have number 4 of our notes. And I want you to write this in, that there are going to be 3 paragraphs. So number 1. First paragraph. First paragraph is going to have 2 things. It's going to say who you are. And why are you writing? Who you are, why you are writing. It should have who you are and why you are writing. And it should be no more, put this in, it should be no more than 2 sentences. 2 sentences, maybe 3. It looks like I have a long paragraph here. It's only 2 sentences. It should be 2 to 3 sentences. 2 to 3 sentences. 2 to 3 sentences. That's your first paragraph. Write that down. 2 to 3 sentences about who you are, why you are writing. Concise. 1 sentence. I am writing because you have posted a job. There is a job posting at the Calgary Science School, and my name is Jason Poblak, and I am very excited to apply for it. What I actually wrote was, I am Jason Poblak. I have been a teacher for many years, and I am applying for the position you have available. The position you have available seems really enticing because I like working with others, and this seems like an amazing school. Period. Right? Really concise. Tell me immediately, what do you want? Paragraph 2. This is where you explain yourself. This is where you explain yourself. So, paragraph 2 is going to be about 5 to 10 sentences long. Sometimes paragraph 2 turns into paragraph 2 and 3. Sometimes this one gets it to be quite long. But 5 to 10 sentences. And this is where you explain in detail. This is where you give details. So write that down. Details. This is where you would explain what your concern is. What is your concern? Why is it important? What is your concern? Why is it important? What's your concern? Why is it important? Give me details, right? And if there's a problem, you discuss a solution. Discuss solution. So, for example, if you bought something, let's say you bought a CD. You bought a CD, you bring it home, and it doesn't work. You just bought the new Justin Bieber album, and you are devastated that it won't play on, you try it on your CD player, then you try it in your computer, then you try it in the CD player in your mom's car, and it doesn't work. So you're like, well, this CD is obviously defective. You go back to the store, you go to HMV and you say it's defective. HMV says it's open, we can't take it back. Well, now you're upset. So you look at who created the Justin Bieber album, and you decide, all right, I'm going to send a letter to the people who created this. So you send off your letter to, I don't even know, Empire Records Studios, and saying, Mr. CD creator at Empire Studios, your CD didn't work. I tried this, I tried that, I tried it in this vehicle, I tried it in this CD player, none of it worked. Not only that, but HMV, where I bought it, refuses to take it back because it was open. The CD isn't closed, and you can try it on your CD player, and you will notice that it's defective. Please, so there, you've given all the details about it being defective, and you've talked about all the reasons why what you've done to try to make it work, but it won't. The CD won't work. So now provide a solution. Please, Empire Records, I ask either that you, A, refund my money for the CD so I might buy a new one because your product has been so great in the past and I simply love Justin Bieber. Or, alternatively, 2, please could you send me a replacement copy? Truly appreciate it. Right? Give the details of your problem. So remember, in the first paragraph, you already said what your problem was. But it was very concise, very short. Now I want you to give me the details. And after that, provide a solution, if there is one to be had. Again, if you were sending one to Mr. Lonsberry, or your teacher, you're sending one to Mr. Scott because Mr. Scott has given you an awful mark, a mark that you just can't take. And so instead of talking to him in person, which is what you should do, you send a letter, you send an email, a properly formatted business letter. This is where you would explain in detail. The second paragraph is where you explain in detail all the areas that you're not really sure what you did wrong. And then at the end, a solution. And your solution might be, Mr. Scott, I respectfully ask that you remark it, or you give me a chance to redo this letter writing assignment so I might get a better mark. It's the second paragraph where you provide solutions and details. Third paragraph. Third paragraph should only be 2 sentences long. Sometimes even 1. 1 to 2 sentences. Write that down. Third paragraph. Third paragraph is 1 to 2 sentences long. Not only that, it only should say 2 things. There should only be 2 things here. 1, ask for a response. Ask for a response. In the case of this letter that I sent to Mr. Lonsberry, I said that these attributes make me a wonderful asset to the school. I look forward to speaking with you in the future. I look forward to speaking with you in the future. That's me asking for a response. Please contact me with your answer. Again, if you were to send a letter to Mr. Scott asking for him to reevaluate your mark or to give you another opportunity, you would ask for him to please contact you back. Please, Mr. Scott, contact me when you've read this, etc. And let me know what solution you see in the future. Or please let me know your answer as soon as possible. Whatever it may be. Do it respectfully, though. We've talked about it. You have to have a respectful language, professional language. And that means being respectful at all times. Even if you're angry, you need to be respectful in a business letter at all times. Don't use slang. or anything like that. You're respectful, you're straightforward, and you're concise. Last thing, this should be obvious. The very last thing that they should hear from you is a thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you. Thank you for your time is probably the classic line. Thank you for your time, or thank you.